Alright, what's up guys? It's Chris and it's been about 2 months or so since the last update video I made on AMA wow MIA, the massive immersion approach, which is because I went with that instead of AJAT, and because I'm really following more of Matt's advice than Katsumoto's. I read Katsumoto's really was just kind of like a introduction to AJAT, and then I sort of really listen to more of whatever Matt had to say about Japanese learning, and so I'm going with MIA. And of course I finished RTK. I remember I was at 2600 on the last video, and so that's done. Of course 90% of my cards are mature now, which is pretty awesome. I mean, it doesn't mean much when it's just like 1 month or so, because you know I've been running into a lot of those where I've been forgetting, but I mean it's still pretty cool. It was something I didn't expect. Like when I first started RTK, like just seeing is pretty cool. So yeah, so there are a lot of things that happen, you know, especially in July. I after finishing RTK, I didn't start taking them right away. Well, I did. And I was kind of just taking the I+1 sentences that I found in each section. There'd probably be like 3 or 4 sentences for each grammar, and I just find the I+1 ones. I didn't really bother with the ones that weren't I+1, just because I mean, what I could have done was actually take the words that were making that sentence like not I+1 and making it like I+2, 3, or 4, and then make sentences for them. But then like I didn't want to like just rip off sentences from just some site and then throw them into Maki. Like I find that to be really dull and boring, and just I didn't really want to do it. So I just went looking through the I+1 sentences, and I would usually find at least one for each grammar point. And there were some sections where I even skipped entirely just because I learned all that grammar through immersion. And yeah, so at around the time where I was like in the middle of doing Take Him, you know, I went to Florida for like 10 days over at my grandma's house, and I barely immersed during that time. I thought I was gonna do more, but I really didn't feel like it, because like I was just on vacation. I just wanted to relax, take a break from doing Japanese so hard. I still did my RTK reps because there was no avoiding that. I mean, I had to do it during the night because it wasn't going to work in the morning, because there were always people in the house in the morning. Like people be coming over in the morning so that we could go out or something. And so yeah, Florida was, I mean, it was fun though. Had a lot of fun. Gave me a lot of time to think about Japanese, like what kind of like what I wanted to get out of it and what my goals were. You know, like my main goals right now are to be able to like understand, you know, games, anime, manga, light novels. Those are like my main goals right now. Those are the things that I really care about the most, and anything after that is just if I find an interest in, like, you know, like actually like reading like actual Japanese books, like novels, or maybe like checking out Japanese history or something like that. Yeah, and you know, around that time there's also internet issues, which is why I couldn't upload anything. So there's just a whole lot of stuff. And then when I did get better internet, change service providers, I couldn't, because mic problems on the first recording, and it was a mess. But yeah, I just wanted to get all that out of the way before I get into the other stuff. So I guess I know I'm kind of jumping around, but back to Take Him. I'm pretty much done with Take Him now. And I only did like maybe about 100 or so sentences, and that's of course that's not normal. If you go through Take Him from beginning to end, you'll probably have like over 800 or so, or maybe over 500. You have a couple hundred at least from what I know of other people doing Take Him. That's what they're getting. But me, I was already like more than I was already halfway through the essential grammar section of Take Him, even before I started doing learning through immersion, and all that kind of solidified as I immersed over time. So there was really no need for me to go back, because I already had those grammar in my head, and I just needed to solidify with immersion. So I already did that, and so I just went from where it was that I left off, and I didn't get any of the sentences that weren't I+1 at the time. which there were probably at least one or two that weren't, which is why the number of sentences in total was so low. And also, I just didn't really want to do so much take him. I mean, at first I was kind of excited, but I don't know, it just, I mean, I might go back and check out some sections and see if I can get some sentences, but at this point I'd rather just keep doing bilingual sentences as I'm doing now, which even then I'm not really strict with like new cards per day, because for those of you who don't know, I'm really trying to just focus on my listening skills right now. So I'm just listening to a lot, and I'm just watching a lot of shows and YouTube and stuff. Like, I'm not really doing any reading or watching any shows or videos with subtitles, and so it's really hard to get I+1 sentences when you're just from hearing, and which is why I still only have maybe around 120 130 sentences, even though it's been like a good while since I've started sense mining. And of course it's not bothering me at all, because I'm still, you know, getting good immersion, and that in the end, that's the most important thing. And then, you know, whenever there's a word that like kind of pops out at me, like I'll, you know, make a sense, like I'll like put the sentences and I'll make you know, a card for it later at night. But usually right now, the most I've gotten maybe like 4 or 5 sentences in a day, and even then, even if I get to like a golden age of sentence mining, I'll only like maybe 15 would be the maximum. I don't want to go past that. I don't want to have reps like I did with RTK. I don't want to do that again. I don't like spending more than an hour, maybe an hour and 20 minutes or so on Anki per day, because then past that it's counterproductive. Unless you're in RTK. If you're in RTK and you're spending a lot of time on Anki, that's completely understandable, because, you know, you have to go through the book or the PDF. You have to get the kanji, make the cards and all that. It's a pain in the ass and it takes a lot of time. But after you're done doing that, after you finish RTK completely, you'll just have reviews, and you should probably take maybe a week or two to just do reviews on RTK instead of jump straight to sense mining. I would highly recommend that, because then you have to do reviews for sense mining and RTK, and then you take even more, and then you basically keep taking the same amount of like 2-3 hours on Anki a day, and that's not good. You want to lower it to like somewhere around an hour after you're done with RTK. Yeah, but either way, sense mining is really fun. Like the people weren't kidding when they said that was the most fun phase of the Japanese like learning the immersion process, sense mining. Like, it's pretty fun. It's just that if you're not watching stuff with subtitles, it's really hard to get I+1 sentences at the beginning. Like, of course, I'm only about 6 months into my learning process, and, you know, I understand like of shows with easier vocabulary, I might be able to understand somewhere between 10 to 30%, maybe 40% if I'm lucky. And these are for like the really easier shows. Like, just want to point that out. Like, if I'm watching like sci-fi, it's gonna be like 10%, maybe. That's a maybe, because I was watching Ghost in the Shell and there was so much that I couldn't understand. But of course it didn't bother me. But, you know, it was kind of like because I was starting to understand a lot of shows, like a number of shows, like a lot of words, and then like watch Ghost in the Shell, and I was just like, oh shit, wow, there's so much I don't know in here. And it was pretty exciting too. And I do have the subtitles for that, so sometimes I might just turn on the subtitles for a while and see if I find any I+1 stuff, so I can sense mine for that, you know, whenever I do go watch that show. I'm not watching it right now, but yeah. And there's this let me just see here. Oh yeah, the red pill add-on that's coming up soon. It's already in beta, and like or probably beta alpha stages right now. It's still in testing, but I'm really excited for that, because it'll definitely help with people who are trying to manage their like social life and, you know, free and rest time, along with all the other things they need to do. And for people who sometimes just really can't do reps one day, or like they can, but it's gonna be to the point to where they might as well just not do it that day, because it's gonna be so unproductive. because either they're really exhausted or there's just a lot of things going on and stuff like that. And I also love how, you know, I know I mentioned earlier like how we went from Asia to the Massive Immersion approach, and I think that just the name change isn't good, just not only to differentiate it from Katsumoto's version of Asia, but just saying as an approach rather than a method. I think it kind of leaves people a lot more open-minded about using the tools that they have. So like for me, like I would like before I started doing sentences, I would think that I would be like trying to get 10 at least 10 sentences a day. But now that I'm, you know, doing it, I'm not really trying to do that. I'm just immersing. I'm just having fun doing stuff in Japanese. And then, you know, if there's something that pops up to me that I want to make a sentence for, then I'll do it. You know, I'm not trying to like do like the 10,000 sentence thing. Like I find that, you know, going for that is, I mean, I understand like having a goal, but I don't really find the point of it, because even if like if you've been, because like the number of sentences, like how people like measure like, oh, you should start doing this when you get to this number of sentences, it's because they expect you to have these certain number of sentences in this amount of time if you do these number of sentences per day. But if you just immerse for that same amount of time, then I mean there won't really be much of a difference, except that someone else did more sentences. Like not gonna be like the difference is gonna be that big. There might be a little bit, but not by much. Other cool thing, I started meditating again like 2 days ago. It's been like 3-4 months. I was actually inspired by Calvin's video like 2 days ago. It started like the day after I saw that video where he was going to meditation and why. Because my attention span's really been sucking, and I've been noticing it, especially during my passive and background immersion time. I really notice how much sometimes I end up just mind wandering and I don't pay attention to it. And it happens really often. And so basically, if I was more focused, then I would be making a lot more progress than I am now. And so that's kind of why I want to start meditating again. And it's kind of funny because I'm just doing these 5-minute sits right now, because, you know, I'm starting over, so I'm starting with 5-minute sits, and it's actually not feeling all that long, at least for now. I don't think I'm gonna up it to 10 minutes just yet. But I kind of like the feeling, you know. I would just get up, and sometimes I even forget that I'm gonna meditate, but then I look at the Mind Illuminated book that I have, like, it's right over there, that book that's open. And then I'm like, oh well, let me go sit and meditate, and I do it first thing in the morning, like right after I wake up. It's the first thing I do, better to just get out of the way. And I mean, 2 days, I mean, it's felt pretty good just doing it. I did enjoy meditation. It's just it kind of felt stressful with like during the school year with all the other stuff I had to do, just because, you know, I was a junior and I had to worry about a lot of stuff, like my classes, the SAT and stuff like that. And, you know, I was sometimes coming home dreading to meditate, because I would have to meditate after school, because it was just hard to find time in the morning, especially since I went to bed like not extremely late but relatively late. And so in the morning there wasn't really like a great time to meditate. Hopefully this upcoming school year I'll be able to change and start meditating in the morning, even if it's only 10 minutes, because honestly doing it in the afternoon or the evening is absolutely horrendous. Like if you're meditating in the afternoon now, or if you're planning on starting meditating, do it in the morning. Like please do it before 12. That would be the best time to meditate. After that, or maybe even before 1, but that's period between like 12:30 and 1:30 or 2, it's kind of bad, because usually people are so sleepy during that time, because that's kind of the time after lunch where you just want to go to sleep. Yeah, that time isn't that great either. Let me see, I'm just looking over here for the stuff I want to talk about. Yeah, so I mentioned that I'm focusing a lot on listening, so I don't really want to read too much. And this it's not because I even want like to get my accent as great as possible. It's just that I feel like since a lot of my immersion right now it's anime, there's a lot. I would see a lot of words in, like, just reading things. Well, I'm probably gonna read manga, so it's probably not that different, but I feel like I see a lot more different words reading manga rather than just watching anime. And I just want to make sure that I've heard as many of those words as possible beforehand, just so that I don't go making up the sounds in my head, because I really want to avoid that. You know, like that's kind of a similar reason, like, as my Spanish has deteriorated over time, and I speak, sometimes things just come out a little awkward, and I know it comes out awkward, but I just can't put my finger on it, or like I just can't find the words. And this also because of my lack of time with Spanish over like the past like 7 years, 5 years. It's been a long, like, I still use it at home, but outside of that, I really just can't. And I kind of don't want to have to experience that as much with Japanese, because it's really not fun. You know, and either way, I know I'm gonna be excited to read anyways, because there's a lot of stuff I want to read. And if there's anything that sort of helping me sort of practice my reading a little bit, but isn't like so much deteriorating my listening ability and whatever, is like I bought a PS Vita with my birthday money, and you know, I installed the pack that came out on the latest version, Encore, and yeah, so I have like the Kiseki games on it. And because the Vita versions of those games, they have full voice acting, like everything in the main story and side quests, stuff like that. All of that is there's full voice acting. And the story is mainly mainly dialogue, and so I get to I guess read a lot and also hear the sounds, which is nice, because then I can, like, you know, have fun playing some video games time to time, but like still get a decent amount out of it. Like if I play like Sen no Kiseki, for example, since it's not a remake, I mean, there's a remaster for the PS4, but it wasn't like they like remade it with full voice acting or anything, so it still has the same amount of voice acting as it did before, which is probably the minority of the time. It's really just in the like big events where there's voice acting. And yeah, it's just I don't get as much out of it because of that. And also sometimes, like, since I've spent so much more time listening than reading, I know a lot more words from just listening rather than reading, and so sometimes I might just find out the kanji of a word that I already knew but just didn't know the kanji for, and that's also pretty awesome. You know, and then it becomes a lot easier to remember because I already know the words, so I just link it to the kanji, and you know, it's pretty cool. And you know, I'm also playing the game on normal mode so that like all the fights, they go pretty quick, and so I can get to all the juicy story segments that I wanted to get to, because the game playing right now, Soro no Kiseki the third, that was the last game in the Soro no Kiseki arc that I didn't finish, and I was in the middle of playing it, but then I started, you know, well, doing MIA at the time, and so yeah, but now I'll be able to continue playing it, and I'll just like play it time to time. I like don't like sit down and play. I did that for the first game for a while. I was replaying the first game in the series for a while, and that was actually pretty fun. Like just going through like a lot of the stuff I've seen before, but in Japanese, like, you know, hearing the voices of the characters and just knowing that I know the story, but then now I just get to pay attention to all the words and stuff like that. It was pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, and I don't know, like, I guess recently, like, there's sometimes I found that where I don't feel like doing a lot of Japanese like not really Japanese, but I don't feel like watching anything or trying to read anything or anything like that. You know, just how like you would normally, like with whatever your native language content is, like you sometimes you just didn't want to like watch or read anything. Then I'll probably just like either lay on my bed and like listen to what I have playing on my MP3 player, or like sometimes I'll like go play. Like recently I've been playing Overwatch time to time. Like I had an urge to play it because I didn't really like want to watch anything. Like I didn't really want to do anything, so I just played it a bit. And you know, I mean, it's pretty fun because I didn't touch the game for a long time, and of course I had the interface set to Japanese, and I was just listening to stuff in the background. And I mean, it was fun, and I just played that for a while. Did that for like 1-2 days or so. I didn't play for that long, maybe 1 or 2 hours. And then I just go back to whatever it was that, or then I'll go like watch something or find something to watch. And I guess this probably like doesn't do the best for my immersion, but you know, it's just. I also don't want to like, because when you really like want to do something, like I had a really strong urge to play Overwatch, but then what I could have done is just made myself go watch something else. But then all I would be thinking about while watching that other thing is just how much I kind of want to go play Overwatch for a bit. And so I might as well just get like, just play the game for a bit, and then, you know, like I guess satisfy my thirst to play the game, and then go do the other thing and not be distracted as much. And of course this happens only time to time because I kind of switch around with the kind of content that I want to like drown myself in. Sometimes I just really want to watch anime, sometimes I just really want to play video games, sometimes I just really want to read something. I mean, I'm abstaining from reading, but you know, I guess, you know, playing some games I kind of get the reading mixed into that. So yeah, I'm trying to think of some other things that I might be missing here that that I want to talk about. I guess I've also been amassing my sentence banks. That's one thing. Japan Code, he said that he was gonna like make all his sentences for the week using those, and like, and then just and then he'll like make the sentences over the weekend and then make them for like the whole week, which I think is I think it's not a bad idea. I think it's actually a pretty good way to use these sentence banks, because there's so many sentences, and it also means that, you know, you can just limit Anki to this certain amount, because it'll keep Anki to like depending on how many new cards he'll do a day. Like it will always take him like around a certain amount of time to do Anki every day, and then he doesn't have to really worry about gathering sentences. Though I would say for me personally, I kind of like just watching stuff, and then if I, you know, find something in there, then I'll get a sentence. I'm kind of saving these sentence banks. I want to save a couple at least for the monolingual transition, where it can be hard to find sentences that I understand. I know Brit versus Japan, I think he said that he came up with the sentence banks in the first place in order to help with the monolingual transition, so I think I might do that. But I'm not gonna let them sit here until then, probably. No promises. But yeah, speaking of the monolingual transition, since I'm not anywhere near getting to that point yet, I can't say when I'll do it, but I'm thinking maybe around December, January is when I want to try doing it, because that's one of my, I don't know if I mentioned this before, but that's one of my main goals, to just be able to learn Japanese in Japanese. I mean, it's not only, you know, that I'll be able to advance in Japanese a lot faster, but it's also just like, there's this, I feel like there'll be like, I'll just have more confidence in myself in terms of like being able to really get to a good level in Japanese. Like, wow, now I could just use Japanese dictionary to understand Japanese words, and so this means that like I'll really be able to get really good at Japanese, because I can already learn Japanese in Japanese. And you know, I think that'll be like really cool. Definitely excited for when I'll be able to do that. Let's see here. I mean, this video's shorter than my other one, so that's great. But I'm trying to see if there's anything else that I'm sort of missing that I may want to talk about. Actually, I guess I should talk about sort of like what I use for listening. So I mostly use anime, and I have audiobooks. The audiobooks I have, they're pretty much the same ones that that I got from Aozuroro Doku from a long time ago. Like they're like the same ones. I haven't added more, just because I don't really understand most of the like any of them really yet. Then again, I haven't really spent too much time like really sit down and listen to them, which I think I should do soon. But yeah, I haven't added any new ones for that, and also I haven't really listened to podcasts, though I think I might see if I can find some and then listen to them time to time. I think it's good to listen to like regular sort of conversations. And let's see. Well, I guess I should mention that for when I listen with anime and stuff like that, like I usually wait until I finish the entire show, and then like I just put the entire show and so I'd, like when I listen, I'll listen to the whole show, and then when I get tired of listening to that same show over and over and over again, I'll just switch to another show. I might just start getting like for example, shows that are still ongoing, like still airing, I might just put those up into one folder and then maybe listen to those like while they're still ongoing, and then eventually make a folder for those shows individually. But I do like having a lot of like all the audio files for each show like stored in one folder, so like so I can just stick to one show because it's easier to focus. Like it would be weird if I was just listening to like Samurai Champloo one moment and then like I'm trying to think of it like Made in Abyss the next moment. Though I haven't finished Made in Abyss yet. I'm probably gonna go watch it soon. I was kind of get a feeling that I wanted to watch it. So yeah. I'm not. I guess that might be it for now. As for like what I kind of like have to talk about. Definitely one of my shorter videos, and you know, if anyone has any questions about like what I'm doing, or if like maybe if I forgot to mention something that someone wanted to know about, just let me know in the comments, I guess, because I definitely think that although it's not good to like talk too much about people about your immersion process, you should just stick to doing it yourself most of the time. I definitely think it's good to see what other people are doing to make their immersion process a lot more enjoyable. And actually, I guess I should mention about the community thing. Like I uninstalled Discord from my computer. I mean, I know there's still the web app, but like I even forget that it's a thing most of the time. And even if I do check it time to time, I won't like be checking it all the time, just because I don't like using the web app anyways. And I did that just because I found myself opening Discord too often. It would just happen. Like I would get into the habit. Like I took it off my taskbar and stuff like that, but then I just hit the Windows key and I hit D, and Discord would be the first thing. And so it's just easy to get into anyways. I'm still having a little trouble with Twitter. I try to go only like 3 times a day to check, 2 or 3 times a day, and I post maybe once or twice a day. And then it's just I would just post if something interesting happened, or like maybe if I like watched a cool show and I just wanted to mention it and I like had feels or something, then I'll do that. Or you know, stuff like that. Yeah, there was one point where I was really active on Twitter. It was when I was in Florida, because I didn't really want to do too much immersion at that time. I just didn't feel like doing it. I was just in a vacation. So I was really active there. So when I was really active there, that was the reason. Just putting that out there. But yeah. So yeah, I think that should be it for this video. So I appreciate all you guys watching, whoever did watch. If any of you are people who are like thinking about whether they wanna like learn Japanese to immersion or not, I would say the earlier the better. Because you never know what's gonna come up later in life that might get in the way. So just jump in and give it a shot. You know, there's no harm in trying. At the very least, even if you ended up quitting, for example, at least now you just quit, and then you know that you don't like if you quit because you just found that you didn't really want to learn Japanese, then that means that now you won't waste your time trying to learn it again or something like that. You know. Because there's some people that have even said they've been learning like Japanese for like 10 years, but that's because they go on and off, stuff like that. So you know, I don't think there really anything that you lose besides time jumping into MI learning, you know, just learning through immersion. And you know, regardless of like whether you get really far or you just you know, you quit, you'll definitely get something out of it, and you know, you'll definitely learn something from it, and who knows, you might even end up using it to like learn some other language that you might find more interesting than whichever one you're trying to learn right now, and stuff like that. So yeah, this is all for me, guys. Good luck for to everyone who's out there immersing. Keep at it. You know, I can't wait to see like the day where we're all like posting videos like reach like fluency, so you can really like if someone asks us our level, we can say yeah, we're fluent. You know, probably be like another year and a half or maybe even 2 years, but you know, can't wait to see that day. So yeah, guys, peace.